All right. I'm Jacob with Bodor Laser, and today I'm joined by Naseem Khan. He's a customer of Bodor's. And Naseem, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
All right, so we started off as an industrial screen printer,
Okay.
and kind of over the last 50 years morphed into a one-stop solution for our customers. I get the idea behind it is that parts were coming to us for silk screening via UPS, via courier, and stuff like that. And to be able to consolidate the number of stops for the product, right? So, like in a normal supply chain tree, we're trying to minimize the stops that a part flows through. So yeah, I mean, we've got laser cutting, milling, bending, industrial print, and all kinds of other services here.
Okay, fantastic. What kind of work do you guys mainly do, and what industries do you focus on?
Mainly aerospace, defense. We dabble in rail and kind of architectural, but our bread and butter is going to be aerospace and defense.
Okay, okay. How were you performing these applications prior to getting a laser?
Well, we weren't. So
You were shopping it out.
we started off with a 3 kilowatt laser, and that was kind of our first entry into the fabrication side. And maybe a couple of years into it, we realized that that was our fastest growing segment of the markets that we cover by far. We were pretty mature in the print side, and so we had a lot of room to grow on the manufacturing side. And we kind of cultivated that business, and maybe 2 years into it, 3 years into it, we realized that we need a lot more capacity. We want more power, obviously. We cut a lot of 1/4 inch. We cut a lot of 3/8, 3/16. And, when we bought our 3 kilowatt fiber laser, I think like the highest power that was out there then, 6 kilowatt was very uncommon. 4 kilowatt was pretty much the ceiling on the power levels that was kind of like normal. And 3 kilowatt was great for us initially, but as our business grew, we knew that we need to our bottleneck was on the laser, basically. So we didn't have enough hours in the day, and we'd run multiple shifts and stuff like that, but the difference between a 3 kilowatt and a 10 kilowatt, I mean, we're cutting 1/4 inch, we're cutting 3/16, we're cutting it 10 times faster.
Right.
Better edge quality. The real nice thing about the Bodor is that it's got really big bed size, right? So it's like 6.5 feet by 13 feet, something like that. So we're getting big sheets of material. We're getting long unattended runs, auto shuttling bed. So, the guys are de-skeletonizing it offline. Machine is cutting, extremely productive. We're churning out sheets like left and right,
Awesome. What helped you choose Bodor? Why did you make the decision to go with Bodor versus some of the competition?
So we've got Bystronic machines here. We've got DMG Mori. We've got IPG. We started with an IPG laser. They make a smaller format laser. We originally had asked them, hey, would you guys consider making a full-size laser for us? But that really wasn't in the cards. And so we started evaluating, the companies that were out there. We saw Bodor, I think, off off of like YouTube or something like that. And I mean, the machines looked the part, right? Digging into it, you know, on their higher end machines, they're using most of the same components that the other players are using, right? Like press attack cutting head, the motion control system, back off motion control, you know, the rails, NHK rails. So they're using, you know, top notch components. And then actually a sales guy that we were in touch with, he had no relation to Bodor at all. And he actually had been to a bunch of his customer sites, and he was saying, hey, you know what, you might want to check these guys out. Because honestly, we would have never considered them. You know, I mean, we knew about them. We saw, you know, the literature that they had out there. We saw the videos, and I think we even saw them at FabTech. And but until we got some kind of like real world evaluation from somebody that I trusted, somebody who doesn't have any link to Bodor, you know, he was basically like, you know what, maybe you guys should check them out. And since, you know, I emailed them, we were kind of communicating back and forth, and we were able to, you know, arrange a deal that worked for both parties. And so that was that. I mean, we knew that at the price point, you know, one of the domestically sourced machines was going to be almost twice as much, basically, probably more than twice as much. In fact,
Definitely.
So it was like a value proposition for us. We were familiar with the companies whose components they were using, right? So we did our research on that side. You know, I sent a couple guys to the Bodor factory in China, and I had them evaluate, you know, like evaluate their factory, evaluate their engineering staff, take a look at their production line, and kind of, you know, get a real, you know, understanding of who the company is, you know. And, you know, after kind of doing all that homework, we were comfortable in making that deal.
Good, good. Well, it's been about a year since you got your laser, if I recall correctly. So how's your experience been since working with Bodor?
Oh man, it's been great. I mean, churning out sheets nonstop, haven't had any major issues. Any questions that we've had, you know, we've been able to get answers immediately. You know, they're tech guys, the support guys, they're all extremely educated, like they're all engineers. And so it's not just somebody who went to, you know, like their training school and got trained. You know, these guys have degrees, they're extremely knowledgeable. They're not just on the phone calling, you know, the headquarters and receiving instructions on what to do. Like they know what they're doing. And extremely professional, you know. Service has been great. You know, we keep that machine busy, and we keep it running. So, you know, they don't really hear from us because we're just, you know, doing our thing, you know. I guess, you know, it's a good thing in a way if the manufacturer doesn't hear from us, it's because we're just cranking material out, you know.
Good, good. Has there been any like unexpected ways that the lasers helped your business that you weren't?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we've got like milling capabilities here too, right? So we've got 5-axis, we've got 3-axis, and you know, we do a lot of we call it tag teaming over here. Well, we'll cut, you know, like blanks. So like say we got panels we need to cut, we got a bunch of through holes, but then you've got pockets and tapped holes and stuff like that. So we'll cut, you know, the panels on the Bodor, and then do second ops on the mill. We also will cut mill blanks on the Bodor. So if you think about a part that's like a milled part that's shaped like an L, normally you're going to be buying like a rectangular ingot that covers the entire, outside perimeter of the part, and you're going to get one part out of there. Well, on the Bodor, we could kind of like interlock our mill blanks. So we'll really tightly nest, mill blanks out of, half inch aluminum, 1 inch aluminum, and we'll cut it oversized, like 10 thou oversized. And so we're getting like a really, really good yield out of, so we end up buying plate, laser out our blanks, if it makes sense. Now, if the part is just a rectangle, obviously, we'll just buy like, cut ingots. But there's been multiple times where we've been able to just, buy plate, laser cut our mill blanks, and then we end up saving a lot of time because, if instead of milling out a, like a 3-inch hole in a part, we'll laser out like 298, and then, mill the 20 thou. So you got the mill finish, but then you're not having to remove all that material.
Right.
The other, the other positive side of what we've seen is that, with the kind of power that we're working with, we're able to turn around jobs or participate in jobs that around here, we're the only guys who can do it. And I'll give you an example. We had a customer who wanted some, originally they were quoting a job on the mill. So, it was a big part. It was 1/2 inch, 6061 aluminum. It was 36 by 27, I think was the finish size. Plus it had a bunch of through holes in it. So, they're saying, we've got the material. This is Friday at noon. Somehow this had slipped through the cracks. They've got the sheet. They've got 48 by 48 plates at their facility. We need the parts by Monday. All right. So I'm looking at the model and I'm realizing, hey, these are all through holes. We could cut this thing on the Bodor. And that's the only scenario where this is even possible, right? So we're able to charge, accordingly. So we charge expedite, right? They freighted those plates over probably in 30 minutes. They asked us, could we get it by Monday? Absolutely. We had the plates at our facility. I think 30 minutes after they hit our dock, parts were done. They were cut at least, right? We deburred them and dressed them up after the fact, and that was a few hours of work. But I mean, there's no scenario where you're even able to take that kind of work and have the confidence that, we're going to hit that date. And there's scenarios like that happen all the time. Things, slip through the cracks. We did another job about a month ago. It was about 10 sheets of 1/4 inch HRPO. And man, we maybe like an hour or two after the material hit the dock, boom, we're done. We just forklifted the material right to the machine. And it's like, we couldn't dream of doing stuff like that on our old system. But not just because of the bed capacity, right? But because of the time. I mean, on a 10K, you're cruising. Pretty much any kind of material that you're cutting on, and the thicker you go, the bigger that discrepancy becomes. So like once you go like 3/16 and up, that multiplication factor of how fast you're turning the material out, how fast you're, swapping that bed again and again and again and again. The other thing that we do is, since the bed is such a nice size, we're able to take like, off cuts. So we'll array, a
Mm.
bed full of offcuts. Say that we cut a job and we've got a consistent offcut size. Well,
Mhm.
now we're stacking 8 of these on there, and nesting parts to fit on those offcuts. And it's like you're not having to continuously load and unload and do a
Right.
cycle change. I mean, you're filling up that bed, swapping it once, cut, swap a full bed out, right?
Efficiency. I love it.
Yeah, it's all about efficiency. So like we like those long cycle times,
Mhm.
because then our operator, in his work cell, he's minding multiple pieces of equipment. So
Mhm.
like if we throw a 5x10 sheet of 1/9 on there, we're cutting a boatload of panels.
Mhm.
He can go and make money on the next machine, stay productive. He doesn't have to babysit the machine. He's not continuously swapping out the material. He's not worried that, is the laser, if you're cutting thicknesses that kind of reach the upper threshold of what your laser can do,
Mhm.
you've got to monitor it to make sure, like, hey, is it losing the cut, right?
Mhm.
Because like on our 3K, we've seen it. You're cutting 3/8. You know, if you're not dialed in perfect, you could get to a point where it's not cutting through.
Right.
So it's less headache when it comes to that. When you've got such a high overhead, as far as like power,
Mhm.
you've got the confidence to just set it and forget it and then go and do your own thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, just two more questions for you. What would you say to others that are looking at Bodor, but they might be a little hesitant, maybe because it doesn't have the same brand recognition as some of the competition?
So, I can share my experience. So we had those same reservations, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the end, we were confident that, we visited the factory in China. We know the components that are inside the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, from our experience, I know that it worked out because we're doing well with the machine. But for somebody else, I mean, if you're not if you don't have the capital to get one of those top tier machines, it's like the Bodar technology is right there. The service that you get, honestly, it's honestly better than some of the service that we get from the very highest end manufacturer. I mean, we've got extremely high end equipment here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the Bodar service is really second to none. Um, and I know that they're continuously expanding their U.S. base.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'll go based off of my experience. We had reservations initially, even up until the point when the machine was delivered. It was kind of like an unknown that, okay, is it going to work out the way that we thought it was going to work out? But what I would say, talk to the actual customers, get their experiences, ask them about the service, ask them about the way the machine works.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to the actual people, you can rely on the sales guys too, but in reality, you're going to get the best information from the users who are using the machines, like in their facility. So
Right.
if you do your homework, you'll find out that they've got plenty of happy customers. And with the price point that they have the machines in, I mean, you're really not going to be able to get anything, half as good from any other manufacturer.
Happy customers are the best customers, right?
Exactly. So like, I
So,
mean,
so you'd recommend Bodor, it sounds like, based on your
absolutely. Yeah.
experience? Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Fantastic. Any
I
other?
know that we were probably one of the trailblazers as far as the U.S. at, going with
Definitely on the
you
higher
know
power. You
their
guys had the
flagship,
first
yeah,
10K.
like the
Mm-hmm.
flagship model, right?
Yep.
So we were under a higher kind of like risk than somebody who might look at this video and be like, you know what, they had a good experience. They you know, kind of stuck their neck out there and it worked out for them. So,
Hmm.
you know, there are a lot of companies like us who are out there, you know, who kind of took the plunge and, you know, we're happy. So, you know, if I had room, you know, down the line, you know, I'd like another one, but maybe I got to get a new facility first.
Okay. Well, you let us know. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining me on the call, Naseem.
All right.
And wish you the best of luck.
All right.
Continue to cutting parts this year. So,
All right, man. Thanks.
all right, take care.
All right. Bye.